jump forward to 64, this is when I graduated, 64. But in 63, November 22nd, you know what happened that day? Does that ring a bell to you all? What is it? November 22nd, 1963.
Assassination of John.
That's what?
The assassination of John
Yep.
Kennedy.
John Kennedy, that's right. I was leaving school that day on the way to work when it came across the radio. And I mean, it shocked the nation, it shocked the world, really. I can remember that very clearly. I remember watching TV the next morning when Jack Ruby shot Lee Harvey Oswald in the jailhouse live on TV. And that was they said Lee Harvey Oswald's the one that obviously they said shot Kennedy. I'm of a belief that there was more than him, but that's another story. But I can remember it like it was just happened. I can still picture exactly what happened on that. So it's crazy. Lyndon Johnson was the president right after that. The first Beatles album was released in 1964. Beatles arrived in the U.S. for the very first time, and I think they were on the Ed Sullivan Show, if I remember right. I saw that too. I also, fortunate enough, I saw Elvis Presley twice live in Las Vegas. One when he was thin, and then in the latter part of his career when he had ballooned up because of all the drugs and steroids and stuff. I saw him perform then. His voice was the same, fabulous. Saw him, he was here in Oklahoma City at the Civic Center in I think 1957. I mean, when he was just getting started. You heard of the Jackson 5? Mm-hmm. I saw the Jackson 5 live in Vegas when Michael Jackson was 5 or 6 years old. And he could sing and dance then. I mean, it was a phenomenal show, but I mean, that's a long time ago. That's a long time ago. Lyndon Johnson signs the Civil Rights Law in 1964, and the first Medicare Act was signed by the president for people over 65 years of age in 1964. So that was all of that. Then I pulled out 1969, kind of the end of the decade. That's when Richard Nixon was president. And you all know what happened to him. He ended up the Watergate and all that. And I obviously remember all that. Family median income at the time was $8,300. That's what it was for a whole family. So not much money. The Woodstock Festival was held. You've heard of Woodstock? Yep. And that was really the one of the real climaxes of the anti-war movement. 500,000 people at Woodstock. I didn't participate, by the way. I wasn't there. So Wendy's was founded. Wendy's restaurant was founded in 1969. Gap store was founded in 1969. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average was sitting at 1,000. Today it's sitting at about 17,150. Sitting there. You could go down the street, right across the street from Shepherd Mall, which is still there. That was the first mall in Oklahoma City. You go across the street back then, and you could buy a McDonald's hamburger, 15 cents, and the French fries were 11 cents. And where Shepherd Mall is, I grew up I grew up on 31st and Venice. So if you go to the north up to 30th, where that whole area is, I grew up about 3 blocks in there, 4 blocks. And we used to go up to that field, that whole, where Shepherd Mall is now, that whole area, that square mile, was 3 lakes full of snakes and turtles and fish and stuff. And that's where kids played. And that's where we played all the time when I was a young boy growing up in that area. Then Shepherd Mall was the very first mall that was ever built in the city, and it was built, I think it was built in the 60s. My mother had a store there called, I don't think of the name, the Plum Tree. It was a gift shop that she had there. So there's a lot of, I remember a lot of stuff like that, just different things. So it was a great time to grow up. It really was. It was a wonderful time to grow up. I love this school. It's a great school. I've been involved with it. I need to go back and figure out, but I think somewhere around 82 or 83, became a trustee, and then I've been involved. I've been involved ever since. Been on the executive committee probably 20 years, 25 years. A lot longer than any of you all ever been. You haven't been around, but it's a wonderful school. Hope you enjoy it, because it really is a good school. It's a good school.
Did you bring the folder for us to keep with your?
Do what?
Did you bring the folder? Or did you
Oh, yeah,
bring
you
this
can
for
have
us
all
to
that.
keep?
Yeah, you can have all that, sure.
What we might do is.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other facts, there's a bunch of other facts in there that I didn't even, that's all
Yeah.
about that website's on the bottom. That's a pretty good website. It does it by year. I was digging around and found that, so, anyway.
Do you mind if we rotate your chair a little bit so that you can face your or the camera
Oh.
a little more, and that way when
Okay.
Josh begins the interview, you can make
Okay.
eye contact a little more. So you guys, you ready to go?
Sure.
All right.
So I guess you were talking about a little bit about the Shepherd Mall and stuff, and so it got me wondering, what was like the social life like here? Like, where did you go with your friends during your free time when you were a student here at OCU?
Well, if we had any time between classes, we'd go to the student union, which was, if I remember right, pretty well where it is now, but just a lot smaller. Like I say, at the time, I was married, had a small child, very small. I didn't have time for anything else. I mean, basically, and most of the students that I knew were all kind of the same boat. I mean, I lived in a little one-bedroom apartment on 16th Street here. No, excuse me, on 19th. And would work till about 5 o'clock each day and go home. If we were lucky, we went out to dinner maybe once a week, maybe. And that'd probably be because my mom and dad come and take us, or her mom and dad or something. I mean, it was just, we didn't have any money. I mean, and I don't remember, I know we had a TV, but I don't really remember watching it that much. It's just, I had a mission. I wanted to get out of school. I mean, I liked it, but I wanted out. I wanted to make a living. So I guess that was kind of it. And I worked, like I said, I worked all weekends, so I didn't really I had friends, but we were all kind of doing the same thing. We're all working and that sort of stuff.
So did like the majority of you often have jobs outside of school?
I think almost everybody in the business school, and maybe a lot of the school did. I think they did. I think we just, and that's another subject that I think we ought to do a better job here, that young people that want to work have an opportunity without having classes in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. It's hard to, you can't have a job when you've got classes all the time. So I think that's a problem.
Yeah. So when you were here, the business school was obviously, the law school is here. What do you think, was there like an art school? Like what other schools were there? This is the liberal arts school, so we had the liberal arts school like we have now, and that had to be located in the combination of the Gold Star and the administration had to be, because that was about the only place, because all the classes that were in what I call the Quonset huts, and you'll see in that picture, that was all business school. I mean, it's a wooden building, wooden floors, and a hallway down the center, and classrooms on either side. Law school had to be one of those, I don't remember exactly where the law school, because I wasn't involved with it and didn't know. There wasn't an art school. There was a performing arts school, but I don't remember how big, because I know we had the Kirkpatrick Auditorium, and that's where we had chapel. You all still have chapel? That's where we had chapel. We had chapel over there. So none of these buildings you see, none of them were there. I remember we had religion classes, but I don't remember if we had a religion degree. And we probably did, I just don't remember. Yeah.
So you still had chapel, and what, did you attend church and chapel frequently? And did a lot of
Yep.
students do that?
Yeah, everybody did. It was required. And it was full. I mean, the auditorium looks just like it did 50 years ago. And it filled up downstairs and the balcony, because I always used to sit up in the balcony, you know. And you always kind of feel sorry for the speakers they brought in, because nobody paid any attention to them, you know. So probably the same today, I hate to tell you. You know, don't ever invite me to speak to that, because I won't. It's kind of like speaking, I've spoken to graduations. That's not another place you want to. People, and I'll say hello and, you know, give you a greeting, but to give the keynote address, that's hard, because I was a student once, just like you are. When you're in that room with that cap and gown, the last thing you want to hear is somebody yapping up there. You want out. You know? You're ready to go celebrate. And so that's a tough thing to give, kind of speech.